نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفكه ونفثه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسول الله وأشهد أن علي وسيء والرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وخليفة بلا فصيل. I bear witness that nothing has the right to be worshipped except Allah, who is unique and who has no associates. And I further bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a servant, slave, and messenger. I also bear witness that the Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam is the guardian Imam appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he is the wasi, he's the successor to the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah's peace and blessings and his mercy and love be upon the Ahlul Bayt, the family of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And may his love and his grace and his mercy shower all of the Sahabas or the companions of the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Khilafas who followed after him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of their souls. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue to provide us with the blessings that he has showered upon the Abdullahs, or the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask that he continue to give us guidance, that he continue to give us his mercy and his love. And as I've always stated, that he should continue to give us the state of knowing what sovereignty is and acting upon it. Na'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. We seek refuge in Allah from the rejected Satan, min hamzihi wa nafkihi wa naftihi. And we seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the illnesses that Satan, na'udhu billahi, brings upon us. From the waswasi, the whispering, jinn, the bad things that he whispers into our ears and withdraws. We seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from all forms of deception, all forms of witchcraft, all forms of black magic and sorcery and voodoo. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from this. And inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we continue to ask him to allow us to break the chains of bondage and separation that we find ourselves into today, that keeps us from coming together with one another to take on the real enemy, to take on the real Dajjal, the Antichrist, to take on the real Yajuj and the Majuj, the Gog and the Magog, those entities and people who come against us to stop us from our rise to power. For surety we are in the days of hegemonic, reverse hegemonic polarization. We understand that the times has shifted and changed in our favor. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us in this generation to be able to see the last days of Shaitan's rule, as well as the devious or the demonic Caucasian rule and power on this planet. And I speak specific when I say his power and his rule demonically, because there's a portion of individuals that are Caucasians who has acted out of a demonic state in reference to how they have dealt with us for well over 6,000 years. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from this evil enemy. La hula wa la quwwata illa billah ayul azim. There is no might, there is no power, there is no strength, there is no energy, there is no sovereignty but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My beloved sisters and brothers, to all of the goddesses and the gods, to all of the Moors, the Amaru Inca tribes, and all of the tribes, the native indigenous people of this land as well as throughout the world, I want to say to all of you, in the most beautiful and divine Arabic language with the holy words of peace, we say as Muslims throughout the entire world, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And to all of you who have survived the beatdowns of the shaitan, I salute you. Assalamu alaikum. This is a period in time in which we live in that I introduce myself from my sovereign state in my holy state to you. My sovereign and holy name is Imam Mahdi Fazail Akbar. It is very important and it's essential that I continue to tell you who I am in the United States Federal Court of Law in reference to challenging the United States government, whom has for many years taken my people and put my people under a rule of law that has governed them and has changed their lives into becoming chattel slaves under the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments. In that court system, I am known as Jurist Fizel. And I would hope that all of you begin to do research behind some of the things that I'm saying to you. We're just in a totally different day and time. It's a day and time that some of you was not even expecting. The coming of an original man, the coming of a quote-unquote black messiah. This term to some of you is a very beautiful thing, but to some of you it is a disaster. To some of you it is a problem. To some of you, you are going to have an issue. Well, when we come with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels, the creation, as well as the Muslims and the believers. So your challenge is a big challenge when it comes to altering or trying to alter that in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting forth. The really bad thing that we bring to the table in dealing with the Juris Fizel case versus the United States of America in the court of law, as I've told you before, that resides under Judge Paulmeyer, as well as under Judge or Magistrate Judge, I should say, Cox. This is a very bad issue that we face, but someone has to step up and face it. There are many counts that we have brought against the United States. There are many violations that we have brought against the United States. the due process, not only in the 14th Amendment, in the top part of that clause, has been violated, but the innate due process that is inside of us has been destroyed. All of your rights are gone. The gig is up. The Shaitan Nawudu Balaki, the devil, has been revealed and is going to be revealed, because chattel slavery in the United States of America is being addressed on a massive scale, and it is now in a decline and being destroyed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his Messiah. I want to thank all of my supporters, those who have come forth with blessings, love, the right language, those who have poured out on Facebook, those who have poured out on YouTube, Twitter, and I really appreciate you. As I've came from the graves of the prison world to come out and address this problem, which is my top priority on my agenda. The 14th Amendment is an amendment that has every last one of us. And like I say, I want to include myself 100% in it, because I want to be the one to help you get out of it. We stopped before in the last lecture that we had, titled The Sovereign Invincible Indigenous Revolution, The Rise to Power. We stopped talking about some seals, about at the fourth or the fifth seal. We also talked about the nucleus, that in which consists of the federal and state entities and corporations. Tonight, I would like to continue to talk about that, because this is a very important issue that we have on the table. I have told you once before, there is nothing pretty about this. This is legal war. This has nothing to do with violence, terrorism, or anything of that nature. This is legal war. The 14th Amendment, it reads, the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, which is called or termed the Classification Clause. That's what they have. It is termed or called the Classification Clause. Now, many of you in the court of law, and many of you have studied in your schools, that it is an amendment that is needed to address your due process in the court of law and equal protection in the court of law. Of course it is. I'm doing it now. Of course it is. But what is hidden under the term all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside? This is a very dangerous clause. The 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution has covered up the rights of the indigenous or the native indigenous people. It's just the opposite. Now here we go with some hidden knowledge. Because there are some real language and some real signs that is is hidden or obfuscated or cloaked under the term person in this particular amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Now, here's the thing. All persons born or naturalized in the United States. That's a mighty clause. Because first of all, the United States consisted of the 13 colonies. That was first established by the founding forefathers, the Caucasian Freemasons, that established the 13 colonies and then established the United States, not America or a Maxim. They established the sovereign corporation in which they were to operate out of, in reference to the enslavement physically as well as chattel slavery when it comes to the native indigenous beings on this planet. Something seriously took place. And it is my job to bring it to your attention slowly to the world, to let you know that the Constitution is being addressed. It's under attack. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction. Now, here it is, you're born, you're naturalized, and took you out of a natural state. I talked to you about it before. They took you out of a natural state and made you out of a different type of being, and then put you under, which is subjection, put you under the subjection or the jurisdiction of the United States government. This is what they did, man. And this entire thing is a serious matter because none of us gave them the power of attorney to do such a thing. None of us signed the paperwork. On the contrary, as to the above 14th Amendment, and I may add here 14th Amendments, the legal omnibus motion in which I put before the courts was a motion that was going to address all issues as I came forth. DNA claim, legal and political status. In other words, the 3/5 clause was going to be challenged in the United States courts. 3/5 of all other people. So they took away from your nationality and your creed. They took those 2/5 away from all 5/5. Spirit, soul, body, nationality, and creed. They took 2/5 away from you and said that he's 3/5 of all other people. They didn't even classify themselves as that. The Constitution was created for you and I. It was not created for a sovereign people. A sovereign people or a sovereign person does not have a law. They create the law for you to live up under. This case is very heavy because this case brought up several counts. How many counts did we bring against this nucleus, this Mona Lisa I was telling you about before? How many counts was brought? Let's read. Chattel slavery in the United States of America is being challenged. Count 1, due process was violated. Your due process system was violated in the door. The minute that they took you and said all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside, the due process of you being the person that you're actually supposed to be was violated. It was gone. Equal protection was gone. The second count, deprivation of constitutional rights. To deprive a person of their rights to be a human being with 5/5 of constitution is a deprivation of their constitutional right to be a human being. The deprivation of constitutional rights is the second count that I brought before them. You deprived me of my right. But then once I find out that you deprived me of my right, I'm not supposed to step up and address it. That was all right when I was dead and lifeless. But now that I have been resurrected, now that I have come back to life, I'm going to stand on it. And the key part about it, you're going to address it. Because we're all around you now. The third count is defamation. Defamed you, our ancestors, you and I. They defamed you. What is defamation of reputation? What is defamation of character? Say the actual person that you are, they removed that and put another being in place, another character in place. And defamed you by start calling you and I the misnomer names of Negro, blacks, and colored people. This is defamation of character, man. Even today, as it evolved into an African American, this is defamation of character, defamation of reputation. This is the law. So in the court of law, you would allow people to defame you, defame your character. Thus as was kept legally by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is legally upheld in the court of law by the federal court of law as well as the state court of law. They uphold it. That's why you can sue them with it, because they uphold the legal status of the native indigenous person in the court of law. Well, knowledge is powerful, man. So to know the law and to apply the law to the issue or the problem is that which is going to dictate the outcome of the problem or the situation or the circumstances. No law, you ain't got nothing, man. That's why we say juris fiscal. I don't need none of you to represent me in the court of law. All praise is due to Allah. So a lawyer, that's a judge, that's an attorney. Oh, you ask any other, ask Lake County. You know Lake County is one of the richest counties in the United States. Challenge the judicial system there. Give me my discoveries, man, to represent myself. Because the first thing I'm going to tell you, you cannot prosecute a sovereign being on his own soil. That's first of all. That's the first rule. And once that is claimed, they will go into a decline or recess in dealing with you. Once they recognize you know that. The discovery has to be pulled from the hands of the States Department in order to challenge it. You got to break them first. Let me get that. The discovery. We got the discovery right here. The discovery. There's a discovery. There's a discovery right there. Absolutely. That's the discovery. Pull the discovery. Look in the discovery. You will come to find out that some of our discoveries are this small, and then some of our discoveries are this big. Because in your discovery, they may have recognized your DNA that is a type that is connected back to pharaohs, gods, goddesses. Your lineage connects you to this domicile, this home, this earth, a Mexam, a Kibalon, Kemet. These names, man. But you don't. Excuse me, please. Excuse me. Hold 1 minute. Yes, sir. How can I help? No. Probably so, sir. Okay, I'll give him a call. Yeah, slide it under the door. Okay. Or, all right, thank you, sir. Or when you get the opportunity, pick that up so that we can get that too, Brother Yahya. Okay? Thank you. Okay, excuse the interruption there, but sometimes we still have issues that's around here that we have to continue to deal with. And it's at the nighttime here, and I have to continue to address certain issues around here. And it is a very wonderful thing that I am the imam of the system, and this is live. And that's what makes it live. There are still issues that's going on around. But we go back and we deal with the defamation of character, which is the third count that I brought before them. Not only on my behalf, man, on your behalf. You've been degraded, defamed. You've been called everything. Nigger, bitch, hoe. You've been called it all. When do you step up and legally address these people on what they have called you and named you according to the birth certificate that you have? It's on there. Negro, colored, black. It's on there. And as long as you're caught up into the extravagance of the world, man, the dunya, you ain't gonna never be able to see that all seeing eye ain't gonna never come on, man. And you ain't gonna never have the wings of Heru to fly. You ain't gonna never be one of light or of illuminating light. Never. Because you're still under the gun. So now we get to the count 4, which is racial discrimination. These people have racially discriminated against us through forms of hatred from the time that we met them, or the time that they come from our journey. Now, there is a portion of Caucasians that you can't even put in that equation, man. And you have to be careful with that because some of them have African, like we say over there in the terms. I met somebody today that said, well, what we need to do is be very careful that some of us have African descended fathers and mothers because we come from the land. So, and we want you to just speak on the behalf of us and let them know that that's not our position. Our position is not the position of this government when it comes to racially discriminating against the original man. These people serious, man. They saying, don't put us in the boat of the demonic Caucasian, the one who has oppressed you and your people for over 6,000 years, who has went on a mission to do so. So please don't put us in that boat, Messiah. Please don't do this. And let the world know not to do this. I say, well, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. All praise and honor is due to Allah, whom is the Lord, cherish and sustain of the world, because we're not going to cross the line of disrespecting nobody. We know what your ancestors did. And the cases that we have is a case that stimulates from your ancestors up to now, but the descendants of those ancestors are the ones who are still enforcing the law. So we got to address them, because now you see me and other brothers who are and other sisters who are descendants of our ancient ancestors, and we got to step up and address this system. So now it's descendants against descendants now. Government, or emir, is an Arabic word that means government or command start from within. And the only way that you could make it manifest itself, it has to start from within and develop so that you can externalize it. Once you begin to do that, then everything that exists is through thought activity now, because the way you start thinking, things become now. You become that powerful. This is how you rise to power. Certain things in your life, when you are after a goal of achievement, has to be pushed out of the way. Ain't nothing passive about this move. Ain't nothing passive about this revolution. We're all in it. Just somebody had to come along and wake you up to where you are today. That'd be me. Because I've had the master minister, Louis Farrakhan, who has preached on it for many, many years, and you ain't heard of him. So now I'm going to go and get down on you and give it to you, give you the business, and let you know how it goes. Because I know the master done spoke on it already. Been around him 1,000 times. Honorable Noble Drew Ali spoke on it, man. The one who drafted up how to come into your own, with your own flag, with your own seal, with your own emblem. Our ancestors did it. There weren't no chumps, man. Everybody may have their own opinion about what happened, but did it happen? I don't knock none of my ancestors, man. I would suppose that's why I'm receiving the blessings that I'm receiving, because I want the blessings that's coming from all of them. I want the wisdom, the knowledge, the wisdom, and understanding that's proceeding from the mindsets and the spirit of all of them. I had my grandmother, Mariam, she once told me, she says, watch out, there's a difference between two Caucasians. She was a Moor. May Allah bless her soul and grant her paradise. She says, I want you to know that one is the Wasikhu, the one who eats up all of the fat of the land. That take everything from you, done took all your resources, done took all your oil, done took all your crops, done took your wives, done took your children, then impregnated your wives, done cut the penises of your male partners, or the phallus. That's why when you go over there in what they're calling today Egypt, which is actually Kemet, when you go over there today and you see huge statues of the pharaohs, guess what they do? You see, when you look down at the phallus, guess what's wrong with the phallus? It's cut off. Why is it cut off? It's cut off because of the power of the sperm bank that's inside of it, the DNA, man. It symbolizes that destroys something. Destroy them, because they have the power to create a people that will rule the world forever. All this issue, man, is about DNA. And once your real and true DNA begin to emerge within you, because it's an intelligence inside of it now, it's going to take you on a journey of a lifetime. That's why it's important for you to guard yourself. It's important for you to keep pure. It's important for you to eat the right things, organic foods. It's important for you to drink the right things, water. These things clean the system up. It's important for you to fast. It's important, even in Islam, some of us are tasawwuf. Tasawwuf is one who purifies himself constantly. Don't even want nothing of the world, man. But in terms of not wanting anything in the world, everything coming to you. There's another count that we have here now, which is count 5. Denationalization is what I hear. Count 5. Denationalization. What is denationalization? Well, we just talked about what to nationalize a person is to bring them into their existence of who they really are. But to denationalize a person is to remove them and take them from who they really are. Naturally. Denationalization is that you were a nation before they met you. A strong nation. Whether that nation was the native indigenous people or whether it was in that sense when it was the Moroccan or the Morocco national empire. These were powerful people. And some of us are acting out of that very sperm bank that has come to life. As I have once told you in many of my lectures that I give, the very brain that you have, the brain power that you have is the results of 66 trillion years of mastery and development. So it's no way possible that you should not be saying something out of your mouth and it's coming to life. It's no way possible. What kind of brain you got? When you get to the point where you start to practice, man, how to denationalize and dehumanize a people, that's some serious thinking that's going on, man. It's almost like Yakub, when you go into your chamber and when you start to graft a cell or a germ down to its lesser term and then recreate a people to dominate the original people in which you come from. That's a demonic individual or individuals that has taken on an assignment to alter the legal status of the original man. To alter the legal status of the original man is what it's all about. According to their constitution and according to the way that they think, you can never stand up and be who you are. So denationalization, that's why we're not a nation now. We've been denationalized. That's why you can't get there now because the whole system go with that. And right now you're so caught up in the dunya, you're so caught up in the world that the extravagance of the world and the shaitans that's in the world, it has a pull on you, got a hold on you, man. Drugs, alcohol, gang banging, stealing, robbing, murdering. All of this has a toll on our consciousness, man. When you take away a nationalism or a national perspective or reality from a people and then take that people and teach them your nationality or your creed or your religion and then say that all things is well, everything well, man. Everything's all right. And then you got our very own sisters and brothers that will go around and tell you the same thing about a man-made religion. And like I told you, I got some very wonderful Christians, sisters and brothers who are in the likeness of a Christ. You ain't gonna say, like I told you before, you can't challenge them. They're scientists. They know exactly what they're doing. To denationalize a people is to strip them of everything that they got coming. And then my grandmother spoke about another individual, which was the Bahana. She says, now be careful to not combine the Wasiku and the Bahana together, because the Bahana is a Caucasian that has a little bit of us in them, that has just a little consciousness to know the difference between right and wrong. She said that is the one in the end game, in the end times, that is going to come and help you conquer the world. It's my grandmother, Marianne. Top flight more. And the majority of all of us come from the descendancies of those people, man. My people were natives. I don't like using the term Indian. Natives and Moors. And the combination of all that comes basically from the Olympic gods and the Atlantic gods. Care what you think about what I'm calling, man. I'm calling a shot, and I'm telling you where you come from. The Atlantic gods ruled from one end of the pole to the other end of the pole. Those were our ancestors. Some people have a cross germ, has a cross gene. That is that of royalty. She said, make sure that you don't confuse the two as you grow up and deal with this mighty situation that you're going to have to face in the future. So now we have count 6, which is forgery. You know why it's forgery? Because on your birth certificates, on your social security cards, on your employment identification cards, on your zip codes, and every other chattel paper, the government has forged and declassified or reclassified you and I on paper. That's called forgery. Meaning that they took you from an original people, and then once they enslaved you, retaught you that garbage, put you back down in the land, then they named you. I told you once before, that's why I still use the name Richard, so you can look at it and criticize it. These are European names, man. Caucasian names. It sparks a subject matter. Some things I leave as they are to spark a subject matter. I want somebody to say, well, why are you doing such and such, such and such? So I can go ahead and give them the full knowledge of self. Forgery took your continent, took your country, and took your land, which is called a maxim or a kibalum or Kemet, the motherland, took that land, renamed it after Amerigo Vespucci, in Italian, conqueror. Amerigo, America. Renamed it and then taught it to you so that you and I can call it the misnomer name America. So really, we gave life to it. And we're still doing the exact same thing today. We give life to it. It's a misnomer name. That means that it is an entitlement that is falsehood over truth. So the forgery of Negroes, black, colored people, African American on your birth certificate, on your social security card, on your EIA card, is a falsehood that we have made a reality. I told you once before, it's called Maya, man. You're making the real into unreal, and you're taking the unreal and making it real. And all of that comes from a system which is termed a Swahili word, which is maufa, the great suffrage, or the great slavery, but the great suffrage that has come from an afar place of 6,000 years or so or better of the Caucasus Mountains, with this being that has came down out of the Caucasus Mountains and ruled the world. It's a cold man, Jack, and woman. So the misnomer names got to go. See, like I say, some of you don't like this kind of talk because it's nothing short of being fiery. It's the kind of talk that if you pay attention to it, gets you right home. You really don't have to go back and do no research or anything. You got to do is listen and find out and say, man, this is a reality, man. I was thinking like that anyway. The majority of you are actually thinking this way anyway. I'm just pushing it home and bringing it up out of you. That's all I'm doing. That's what messiahs do. They can touch you, they can rub you, they can talk to you and bring out the essence and the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High God. The sovereign invincible revolution has begun, my sisters and brothers, whether you like it or not. The native indigenous being is rising to power. There's one good thing that I can say about, there's a lot I can say, let me scratch that, about my brothers and sisters whom are rapping right now. Man, they're putting the message right out there to us, Jack. But because you got so many people that hate on them so much, you can't even hear what they're saying. I'm talking about the conscious ones. And even some of the younger rappers that's coming along that's just got to keep it gangster. They got to keep it gangster in order to give it to a people who have come from a gangster life, man. They got to make things relative. But see, you don't understand that because you can't identify with my generation. Like I told you, you're used to having watered down ministers, watered down pastors, watered down imams, watered down sheikhs, watered down individuals that's around you. That's just going to feed you just enough to keep you going from one week to the next, coming back to the mosque or coming back to church. And as long as you keep putting that money inside that pot, they're good. This is a serious matter that we face, man. Slavery is going on. And I refuse to continue to allow it to happen without addressing it. And most of you would say, then, well, why is he really taking on this subject by himself? I'm not. I got the Lord of all the worlds with me. I got a whole nation, a whole empire with me. I'm just doing these things right now that I'm doing inside of the chamber. So now what is the seventh count? Systematic genocide. Systematic genocide. Oh man, people who have systematically thought through a plan and executed it on you and I and put us in a state of genocide. Took us from everything, man. See, you don't have to get loud and radical about this. Just speak the facts. That's what holds up in the court of law. All of the judges that I deal with, I deal with over 6 judges. I'm dealing with 4 of them right now. All of them women. That's what they do. They put their women up there to deal with you. And they sit back inside the chamber and watch the women to deal with you. But there's a couple of Caucasian women judges that I'm dealing with right now. They're barring none. They saying they're going to get his and they're going to get theirs. Because this been going on too long. I keep telling you that my grandmother talked about the difference between the Wasico Caucasian and the Bahana. Watch who you apply all of that madness to. See, you can't come along and teach me a racism where I hate all Caucasians. That's not the truth. I don't hate no all Caucasians. Because I got some Caucasians on the team. So I cannot hate Caucasians. I would not hate Caucasians anyway. The only Caucasians that I dislike and come against are the ones who enslave my people. And the ones who have my people in bondage right now. They got to let my people go. That's what time and period we're in right now. It's our time to rise to power. And the cosmos in the universe is with us. Okay, so now the systematic genocides is something that they put together themselves inside of their own chambers and came out and executed it on you and I. So now we have to have an intelligence that is reversed now. We got to reverse the intelligence, and now we got to come specifically sitting down and start dealing with our people and reversing the intelligence inside of the system that we have here, which is called the brain. Number 8 is religious discrimination, or discriminated against your creed and my creed. Took the deen away from us. You know, the majority of us was Muslims and Moors, and the native indigenous people had their own spiritual practices that they had. That's a creed, man. You took the creed away from us. And then you taught us a falsehood. And then when you taught my ancestors a falsehood, guess what else you did? You put a white face on that person whom you said was God. And then you beat my ancestors to, they begin to call him God. And then that image wore in the psychology or the psychic of my ancestors, and it went straight through the gene or the germ or the lineage or the sperm and entered right into you and I. And the only way that we're going to be able to stop this curse, man, is to address it by knowledge. I want the streets, man. I ain't trying to be in no big mosque and talk to you. I ain't trying to be on the world stage and talk to you. I'm talking to you right here. I want the streets, man. I want y'all to work the streets, man. I want the streets. I just went walking after I got out the car. We went walking after I had a meeting with the Ebony Lucas, who was running for alderman down in the 4th Ward. Had a beautiful meeting, man. She ready. She ready. That's why I say the female is in her time. She ready. And I had the opportunity to actually sit down with her in a one-on-one. And I drilled her and I talked to her and I did some things that I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. She's grown since the last time I seen her. Not only did she grow on her own, but the cosmic energy is with her now. Running for alderman down there on the 4th Ward in Bronzeville, where we come from down there. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. High School. I had to go through the high school over there and do some things. But I give you, in the video, I give you a perception of what Bronzeville looked like today, now that the Caucasian has pumped millions of dollars back into it and gave it a whole new face. You should see the video. I said I put it on Facebook. So she's actually running for an office that we need to support her, get her in there, because some of her same thinking processes is just what I'm telling you here today. She was elated to have a sit down. She said, man, this is shocking. Surprise. So we got to understand that certain things is going on. Here's the proof, man. Everything I try to do with you, man, I try to bring you proof. There it is. It's the proof. See, the people can begin to believe you when you start bringing proof, man. Bring some proof to the people, man. Bring some proof to them, because the proof is that which holds up in the court of law. There is nothing else that is going to hold up in the court of law. When you begin to bring proof to the people, then the people begin to trust you more, because they say, no, this is legal, man. This man is a lawyer. This man got it together. Everything I'm doing and touching, man, has to have a signature on it, man. So what is the eighth one? The eighth count, which is religious discrimination. Took away your creed. I told you, took away the fourth and the fifth percentage, which is the nationality and the creed. That's why I say this kind of talk energizes you to the extent that you start and become aware of who you really are. This is the real knowledge of self, man. The knowledge of self does not only exist in relation to where you come from. The knowledge of self is to know that the Caucasian actually came from a germ that you produce, man. And because you have not studied it like that, you don't know how to conquer something that you produce. How is that possible? How are you going to come from me and I don't know how to get down on you? I created you. That's like the lower self coming out, and I can't say, self, sit down. By the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now we go back to the Internal Revenue Code. Remember, we dealt with that. This is part 2 of that. Because I was explaining to you that the Internal Revenue Code has a system inside of it that provides a relief for the native indigenous people. Now, most people don't want to understand that like that because you have not studied it, man. And if you teach in any other kind of way, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but you need to add these things in addition. Because everything that we dealing with right now is under the Uniform Commercial Code, the UCC. That's why when you introduce yourself in the court of law, you say, I am Sejurus Fizel. And then I would go and say, I am such and such under the Uniform Commercial Code. And the Uniform Commercial Code, if you looked at it, this is not all of it, but if you start to look at the Uniform Commercial Code, man, I got everything, man, that I can give you. If you start to look at the Uniform Commercial Code, man, everything you touching got a number on it. Even you. Every street you walk on is covered by the Uniform Commercial Code. Everything in the system is covered by the Uniform Commercial Code, man. You need to study the Uniform Commercial Code. the UCC. You need to study the Uniform Commercial Code. That's what you need to study. Because once you get this on the brain, you're going to understand that everything you're talking about right now, land and water, comes under the Uniform Commercial Code. And you're going to have to loose it like that. Let me tell you something, and I'm going to be honest with you when I tell you this. This Caucasian that we're dealing with, man, ain't giving you nothing free. But I can say one thing. Now, I don't know if I'm just blessed. But if you got the law, ain't gonna be able to stop you. And not only do you have the law, but you have the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala working with you and in you. And they can see right through it. You mess with that man, you're gonna be messing with God. And we ain't going. What you need, man? Or you mess with that female, we ain't going. Because we got some sisters, man, that I've been seeing that just the nur, the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just radiates out of them. Can you imagine yourself being a minister? Can you imagine yourself being a God? Can you imagine yourself being a real Muslim and you have a female companion that is just like you in knowledge or perhaps more intelligent and brilliant than you? Man, you'll go a long way. That other half is something else, man. That's like that chromosome 46, 23, 23, masculine, 23 masculine, and 23 feminine. Man. To not have it is to be absent. That's why it is decreed that you perhaps get married in your lifetime. I am not, and I'm planning on doing that once I find my mate. But these things are the things in which we talk about that your gene, once come to life, puts us in a whole different place. So the Uniform Commercial Code, and we get ready to conclude this session on this other part that we bring to the table, because we were actually talking about the other day the seals, and when we was talking about the seals the other day, we left off at seal number 3. I remembered it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين كن فيكون, be and it is. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you, all of you. We thank him for this spiritual talk. But there is something that the Uniform Commercial Code is offering that you need to know about. There's some things that the Internal Revenue Code and Services is offering that you need to know about. It's just like changing your name before you reap all the benefits of your name. You go change your name, and then you go before the courts and they say, well, we can give you what you got coming, but this other name that you actually have had some benefits up under it. And you didn't do it like that. And I can remember reading in one of the sciences as an ADAP. I can remember reading the most honorable Noble Drew Ali. He teaches that, and he taught that before. He says, be careful of changing your name so fast before you have not reaped the benefits. These are the masters, man. Now, once you reap the benefits of certain things, go change your name and then present yourself before the courts and do what you got to do. He's a legal master, man. It was people like that that taught my ancestors to study the Constitution of the United States of America, to study the bylaws and the constitutions of the Circle 7, to study the Holy Quran, learn it in Arabic. These things were in my household when it came to my grandmother and grandfather, who set me down and taught me Quran. Masters. So in number 3, we stopped at in dealing with the Internal Revenue Code, Title 26 United States Code, and associated federal regulations. clearly and thoroughly makes provision for Americans born, listen to that, Americans born and living within one of the 50 corporate and sovereign states of America. Corporate and sovereign. Don't let nobody tell you that the United States has become corporate. They're no longer sovereign. Don't let nobody tell you that. You know how I know that? It's because, like I told you, right now I'm suing a FBI agent down in the Southern District Court right now. It's Fizell versus the United States. I went after the whole department for defamation of character and defamation of reputation. So I caught him out there bad on the records. And I'm suing him now. And do you know that I had to file another type of claim that would release a federal claim that would release the sovereignty and the immunity that he had on him so that I can just touch a little bit of him in the department? All of them are sovereign. And you're going to find out that they are sovereign when you start to sue them. You're not going to be able to sue them under the 42-1983. There's some other forms that you're going to have to use to sue a high state official and a federal official to remove some of the immunity that they have, the sovereign immunity, I should say.